they teach you that your language, your culture is inferior, okay? Inferior to theirs, right? And this is why we see a lot of people who either when they come to the United States as immigrants or Africans in America or Latinos in America, what do they feel about their culture? Oh, I really don't want to talk about it in front of anybody. There's a sense of embarrassment, right?
No.
There's a sense of like, don't embarrass me. You know, I say to my children, hey, Abby, I'm coming. Like I have to say it in English, right? Because I don't want them to know, oh, you speak that? What did he say? What is that? What's that thing you got on your head? No response. As though there's a sense of embarrassment. I'm going to take that thing from the children. You boys, come around this way. Now, quickly. Got distracted. Give up the phones to your fathers. Oh, give it to me. Come here. Bring it here. Quickly, son. Quickly. Now, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So, if you keep getting told that your language, your culture is inferior, what will you adopt?
The superior.
The superior one. Now, this is nothing new. Ibn Taymiyyah talks about it in a long essay about assimilating into the culture of the conqueror. Because they had to deal with it when they dealt with the Mongols, with the Tatar. They had to deal with the same thing. And he said how the people now start stopping to dress like Muslims. They stop talking like Muslims. They start picking up the accoutrements of the so-called superior group and identifying with them because of what they think they're going to get out of this. Now, Islam teaches us not to lose our identity. Our first identity is as slaves of Allah. Leave it be. It ain't that important. Focus on the class, guys. The first identity is our identity as Muslims. Just like the Norwegians and the French and the Belgium and the Africans in different places and the Malaysians and the Asians all over have determined what their language is going to be, Allah determined for us what our national language is going to be. And our national language is what? Arabic. It's not an arguable thing. Come off the wall, son. Off the wall. It's not a thing of debate. No one questions it whatsoever. Arabic is the language of Muslims. Period. Point blank. Anybody disagree?
No.
Nobody disagrees. Okay. Now, learning Arabic is an obligation on everyone who wants to fully become a Muslim. Let me say that again. Learning Arabic is an obligation, is a precondition for fully becoming a Muslim. Does everybody follow me?
No.
So Abu Taubah, you're saying that if I don't know Arabic, I have not fully become a Muslim? Yes. Yes, I am saying that. Just like everybody here knows that if you want to become an American, what do you have to do? You have to learn English when you come over here. And if you don't learn English, you don't get your American citizenship, do you? Let me hear it louder. Okay, so we can accept that from the kuffar, but we can't accept it from Allah. Welcome to the United States. Okay? And in this brochure here, Welcome to the United States, it's going to tell you that if you want to become an American, guess what, Jack? You have to be an A2 speaker of English. You have to be able to be at least basically conversant in the English language. If you fail the test, you will leave. They give you a certain amount of time to do it. Isn't that correct? I think it's 2 years. Anybody know? I don't want to look it up. But I think it's 2 years once you get here to be able to take the test. It may be longer. Do you know how long it is? Anybody know? Anybody knows?
Nah.
Not Americans yet, man.
Huh?
Not Americans yet.
It even if you're born in America, we all know people. I know my sister-in-law had to do it, but I can't remember how long it took her to do it. But I remember she was taking the English classes over and over again until she became fluent in the English language. Okay?
How come you didn't teach it?
Because I didn't want her to become the speaker English. You know what I'm saying? Hey, my stance is clear. Alhamdulillah. So what my point is that we have become delinquent. We have become really delinquent in fulfilling our obligations as Muslims. What's the first thing Allah told us to do? Read. That's my proof. Allah said read. Who was he talking to? No, don't say Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because everything he's telling, mostly everything he's telling Muhammad, he's telling him for what reason? For us. Okay? In sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the proofs for that is Allah tells the Prophet Muhammad in the Quran, speaking to him, when either your mother or your father become 40 years old, don't say oof to them, right? And this type of thing. Is he talking to the Prophet? Literally. But does the Prophet have a mother or father? No, and Allah knows that, so why is he telling him that? On behalf of his ummah. You guys get my point? So understand that the majority of the things, except when it's stated to the Prophet ﷺ, it's for all of us. Yes, there are some exceptions, but we're dealing with the majority. We call a thing by what it is mostly. Okay? Okay? So we have an obligation to learn the Arabic language to perfect and complete our entrance into Islam. Especially those people who are living in places where Islam is not promoted. We need all the help we can do so that we can understand the texts of the Quran and the text of the Sunnah. Please don't write. Does everybody follow me?
No.
Okay. We run the risk of not learning it by starting to look at ourselves as inferior. And our ways and the Islamic ways, meaning the ways of Allah, as inferior. And as the other thing that's in use, as superior. We run the risk of losing contact, with our language. And languages are disappearing. Why would a language disappear?
They don't use it.
Not spoken, not being used. It becomes archaic. Nobody speaks like that. What are you talking about? Right? It becomes a joke. Making anything that Allah is connected to a joke is sinful. You right?
No.
The book of Allah, Kitabullah, Naqatullah, right? And this is the language Allah chose for the best book in the Quran. I'm saying all this stuff to establish a few points here. One, we are obligated to learn the Arabic language. When you realize that something is an obligation on you, it becomes more and more, pressing to do that thing. You have no room to run. If you say, well, my leg hurts today, I don't want to run, but the house is on fire, you stop thinking about that pain in that leg, don't you?
No.
And you get the let out. And you start to do it. That's a big motivating factor. Is that correct?
Yes.
The other point I'm trying to make is for those people, even, notwithstanding, not even taking Arabic into consideration, but as people of African descent have been enslaved in this country and your language taken away from you, that in and of itself should be a reason enough for you to learn, and an embarrassment in enough to be the only people on the planet not to speak one of your ethnic languages. The only people in the world that don't speak at least one of their ethnic languages. What's the most spoken language in Africa? A lot of people don't know that. When I say people here, I mean Africans in America. Don't realize that. That is the #1 spoken language in the world. Because we find a lot of people saying, oh, I don't want to be Arab. You out your mind. It is the you can take the whole Middle East, stick it in Africa 4 times, and you still just covered the northern part of Africa. And all those places are Arab-speaking places that we covered. starting with Morocco and Mauritania and Algeria and Mali, and then coming across to Chad and Liberia to Egypt, and then you still got Sudan, okay? You get my point? In Niger. All these are Arab-speaking places. To move over to Somali and even northern Uganda and Kenya, Arabic. So, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, there's no reason. And then after that, you have the next most spoken language, which would be Swahili, which is about 30% Arabic. And the older scientists used to consider it an Arabic language because it's so the multiple similarities to it. Does that make sense?
No.
Then the third one would become Hausa, which again has multiple, so many words of Arabic inside of it. And these are the major three in the continent. All of them having an Islamic tone to them, meaning key words. And that's because the Arabic language is to the languages of Asia and Africa like Greek and Roman is to the languages of Russia and Europe. Let me say that again. The Arabic language is to all the languages, including Chinese, is to the Asian languages. When I say Asian, I mean Far East Asia, Middle Asia, including Turkey and Turkmenistan and those and Pakistan and India, ending with Turkey, and Africa, like Greek and Roman is to Russia and the European countries. Does everybody follow me?
No.
Meaning that they are the roots to so many of the key ideas and principles in the language. So by learning Arabic, you are back in touch with something that is intrinsic in the very core of the major cultures in the world. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay, and that's not something of inferiority. That's something that brings you back to a state of mind that has been lost through slavery. Now we mentioned slavery. What's been taken away? Identity. Many people talk about reparations, right?
No.
Reparations means to repair something. What needs to be repaired? If things were taken away from you, how do you want to fix it? What needs to be repaired?
Everything else.
Your identity. What about your identity? Who you are, where you come from, right? Now, do you need to go to the police or to the government and ask for permission to learn that? Why not? Why? Because you're free. And if you're free, part of being free means you do not need permission, do you? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of us, and I'm harping on this because a lot of us don't want to be free. And that's part of our problem what we have with Islam. We are still emotionally and passionately attached to our identity as slaves. And for this reason, you don't want to break with that slave master's name. The one that raped your grandmother. You want to identify with him more than your Islamic identity. The one who freed your soul and saved you from Jahannam. There's a big disparity here. And then we see that when we look at the Asian people, just take the Indian people, for example, the Desi people. When they came to Islam, did they have Islamic names? No. They had Hindu and Buddhist names, right? What did they do?
Change the name.
Those people who came to Islam changed their names. Why?
I think, yeah.
So they would not be mistaken for those Kafirs who had the Vishnu and the Hishnu names, right? So they changed their names to Ahmed and Khan and Chowdhury and the Abdullahs, all the Abdullahs, the names that they have, Ihsan, Islam. We know the names that they have right there that they took on when they came to Islam to distinguish them from the Kuffar. And some that had those tribal names that were known to be Muslim, like Chowdhury and Khan and some of those other ones, they were kept those. But the other ones, that when there was a question, they took those other names. And that's not too long ago. That's not too long ago that they did that. Does that make sense?
No.
So we have an example in that for ourselves to take on. Here what we're going to deal with is one aspect of it, and the aspect of language. Shaykh Uzbek, he's one of the people who was the mentor for putting the the Noble Quran into English. He made a comment stating that putting the Noble Quran, he made a comment saying that the Russians only made them speak Russian to turn them into Kafirs. So that they would start saying things like Moon Day, like Twiz Day. Who's Twiz? Twiz is the sky god or the water god. Okay? Woden, the one-eyed guy, Woden's Day. That's why it's written like that. Okay? Thor's Day. Okay, the son of Woden. And Fra Day, the day of the women. Fra is still German and Dutch for Woman's Day, right? Yeah. And then Saturn, and we know Saturnalia is what they do when it's Christmas. That whole celebration is called Saturnalia before they turned it to Christmas. Okay? So we see all these Kafir things we're saying. January, February, March, all this is kufr. But if we were to speak in the language Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with, we wouldn't be making these concepts of kufr constantly. But why don't people learn Arabic? Why haven't you learned Arabic? Thought it was too hard. Thank you for being honest. Most people, if they're honest, they will either say they thought it was too hard. I like the way she said she thought it was too hard. And other people, if they're being honest, will say they were afraid. Being afraid is the #1 reason why most people don't learn any language, not just Arabic. What are they afraid of?
Failing.
Failing. Let's get more specific.
Not being accepted.
Not being accepted because they sound stupid, right? They didn't do it right. So they are embarrassed. No one wants to feel like an oof. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. Do you remember the fist?
No.
Okay, what is the fist? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Good kung fu. That's right. If you can keep your head with all about your losing and blame it on your father. No, look. Yes, ma'am.
Forget.
Fist is forget, interactive.
That's the first thing. Second thing right there. Forget, and then what?
Interactive.
Interactive. What are you forgetting?
Everything you thought you knew.
Everything you thought you knew, right? What's the other thing you're forgetting?
Ants.
Never. I told you,
Ants.
don't do that.
Everything that happened before you walked into the classroom.
Right. Another thing. What else are you forgetting? The main thing. Sorry?
Doubt.
No. He already said that.
Ants.
No. Limitations.
Limitations.
Oh, okay.
You're forgetting about the so-called limitations. Fist. F-I-S-T. Write it down.
Can you give us an example of limitation?
Limitations, like people think that it's like a foot size. My foot is 10. Okay? So I know my foot can't get any bigger. So I limit my intellect. I can't learn another language. You get it? I limited myself. I make excuses. I'm from Brooklyn. I can't talk, Arabic. You see what I'm saying? And there's a rule. If you fight for your limitations, what happens?
You get to keep them.
You get to keep them. You get to keep every limitation you fight for. But when you come in the door and you say, okay, I'm coming to class, I'm going to forget any idea of limitations. Your ability to learn only ends with your life. Every day of your life, every time you see, hear, smell, or experience something, you run new tracks of neurogenesis to your brain, in your brain. Okay? You're learning, yes.
Did you say intervention?
Interaction.
Interaction. Wife. Right. So, that's what you get for asking for a P little B. So, we're going to put it out there. That's cousin and wife. Okay? So, yeah. So, put it on pause or something?
Hit the volume button. So what here?
Okay, so listen. You don't have limitations.
The volume button.
You don't have limitations. You're able to continue to learn. Always. Okay? You don't have to worry about being afraid to fail or to be made to look stupid. Because The S stands for what?
State of mind.
State of mind. You want to call it that, Akhi? Huh? Okay. Okay. Listen. What state of mind do you want to be in? Yes, sir.
In the positive state of mind.
That's positive. I want another one.
Open state of mind.
That's a good one because the mind only works like an umbrella, like they said. It only works when it's open, right? What else?
Islamic state of mind.
No, not Islamic. That's too general.
Thermostat. Child state of mind.
Childlike state of mind. That's what I want. I want a specific. What type? Let me everybody hear. What type of state of mind?
Childlike state of mind.
Say it louder, Carrot Top. Childlike. You see how he smiled? That's why. Because children, young people, whenever they get something new, they don't get like this. This adults. Ooh, I don't know. And they get so tense. Children, they laugh. Okay? And when you laugh, what happens?
Yeah.
Not just you relax, you send endorphins through your body. Okay? That makes your whole body open up to receive. Okay? It's easier. You can't shake my hand, or I can't shake yours when my hand is hard. Right? Paper beats rock. Right?
Right.
So you have to be relaxed in order to do that. Rock, paper, scissors. So if you get tense, you can't grasp things, is the point. That's in the physical and the metaphysical world, too. You always got to be relaxed. You girls get from back there and come back over here, making the waft together. You guys understand me?
Nah.
I'm saying all of that because we're at a threshold moment right now. All excuses are off the table. We're here. Many times people have said, you know what, I haven't learned Arabic because I haven't had a teacher, or a good teacher, or a consistent teacher, or an opportunity, or I can't learn online. All this other stuff that we've made the reasons for, but we learned the internet, and the whole thing's online, right? We've learned how to do that. Those of us who were older, we didn't grow up with that, but we learned how to utilize it. And half the stuff we use in the world, okay? We've learned how to get along with them because we saw a necessity. What is reasons reap what?
Benefits.
Results. Somebody call it then. Call it then. Go call it then. Reasons reap results. So now, what we're going to do when we finish offering salah, we're going to start learning Arabic. It's going to take us 4 months to become fluent.
Allahu Akbar,
Inshallah.
Allahu Akbar.